I somehow felt that this was my normal state and it was a normalized place to be. And I began to get quite comfortable there. It's not that I liked it or even wanted it from a conscious mind, but my unconscious really began to feel like, oh, well, this is normal, it's usual, it's familiar, and therefore we're safe here in this depleted place. Welcome to the Embodied Woman podcast with me, Rebecca Wilson. If you believe that fertile energy, creative power, and embodied, resourced, nourished women will change the world, then you are in the right place. This is a space to support you to arrive deeper into relationship with yourself and your body, to explore the multifaceted experience of womanhood. It is my mission to guide women back into connection with their natural essence, to become the living embodiment of their true nature. Are you ready to join a community of women who are taking responsibility for our lives, our energy, women who are centered and rooted in ourselves, connected to our womb space and deeply nourished on a cellular level? If so, let's begin into this week's episode. Welcome to the community, my love. Hello, my love. Welcome back to the podcast. In today's episode, we're diving a little bit deep into my own journey and story. The story of moving from tired and drained and disconnected into resource and vitality and a felt sense of returning back to my body. It's a story I've wanted to share for a while, so here we are. For many years, without even really realizing it, I felt really drained and I guess disconnected from my body. There were moments in time in my life where I was unable to regulate my nervous system. It's only really looking back, and hindsight is one of those things, isn't it? Often when we've moved through something and we're on the other side, we get to see more clearly the place that we've been. And from being in a completely different place in this moment here and now, I can really recognize that I was really disconnected and disassociated from my body and from life. And more often than not, my body was in this felt sense of overwhelm, particularly my nervous system and my energy and my emotions. So if any of that resonates, then maybe you'll hear or see an aspect of yourself in my journey that I'll share with you today. And if so, I hope that what I share and the journey I've been on can resonate and support you in some way. So I was living in this state of perpetual fatigue and I would say a low-level anxiety. My body was feeling exhausted. I would often wake in the morning with this felt sense of dread or hollowness in my chest, particularly. I truly recognize now how deeply I was living in a state of freeze. I had found my way into a deep hole of depletion in my body. I really recognize that now. I was absolutely stuck in this cycle of feeling drained, disconnected. And I think for many years of that, not even recognizing or acknowledging that that is where I was. But through some inner healing work, I began to recognize that maybe I wasn't in full energy and vibrancy, but I was unsure of what was needed to support my body on, that multifaceted level that it needs to be supported on. I had been traversing the path of inner healing and therapy, coaching, somatics, embodiment, energy work for many years, and I still could feel that something wasn't quite right. I could find my way to resource and regulation, but there was still some parts, some aspects, some days or weeks or periods of time that I would very much be existing in a dysregulation, often in a feeling that I always used to say is that I feel like I'm observing life, like I'm somewhere maybe outside my body, watching down, looking at myself, watching the interactions I have, but I'm not really in the experience of it. And I never could really verbalize that in any other way. And maybe that makes sense to you and it lands and you understand. And I would try and explain to, coaches or therapists. And it was this really interesting experience that I had. I felt like there was, an invisible wall between me and life, or that I was, like I say, floating above myself, watching things happen and unfold. So as I continued with my, inner healing path, I found the path of supporting the physiological aspects of the body. At this point in time, I know I had very much been operating in that place of, energetic and emotional healing. And if you've ever listened to any of my work or my podcast before, or you've been around for a while, you'll know, and I'm open to share that I've experienced some pretty huge, impactful traumas in my life with a lot of loss and shock and almost overnight instant change of my reality. And they have definitely left a mark upon my body and my nervous system. And I think forever that is something that I will live with and continue to hold and move through. And within that journey of recovery, I very much placed my attention and awareness on my energetic and emotional aspects of myself. So I was, really loving and being deep into spiritual practices and energy healing and even therapeutic practices with coaches, therapists, counselors. But it was all very much understanding from the mind and the body, the emotional experience that I had. I never really understood for a very long time how these experiences had impacted my physiology. And then I stumbled upon the of HTMA and remineralization, and it just struck a place really deep inside. Now, just to frame this, I had probably for about a year or two before this started strength training and going out for more walks and taking care of my physical body from that aspect, with exercise and somewhat nutrition. I'd started to eat a little bit more because I was training and my body needed the fuel. But it wasn't really until I started the journey of balancing my minerals that I had this pretty profound awakening that, I was very depleted from the emotional drain, the energetic drain of the life experiences, the stresses that I'd had, all mixed in with, modern day living, was really taking a toll on my body. So I wanted to learn more. I was so hungry to understand more. And that's when I started to learn about, the profound impacts that minerals really do have on our bodies and our healths, that they are the spark plugs of life, as they say, and they allow the pathways of communication to flow more easily within our body and our systems. It definitely gave me some hope, and it felt like one of those aha moments of recognizing that maybe I hadn't taking care of the physiology and the physical aspect of my body, like I had maybe more so my, my tender heart space for all those years. And although a little daunting, I recognized that this is an opportunity to pour love into myself in a new way and really nourish all my, the cells in my body that had really been deprived of the nourishment they needed, particularly as I came to learn that stress is one of the biggest ways in which we become minerally imbalanced and depleted. And especially when it's chronic, long-standing stress, over time, it really does wear us down. And we kind of know it wears us down in our mind and it can wear us down in our heart too. But clicking in that piece of it actually wearing down our physiological processes, it just began to make sense to me. I came to realize that, this journey was about all parts of me. It was going to be a multifaceted approach, that there could no longer be this journey of almost separation. Like, I'm just working on my energy, or I'm just working on my heart, or I'm just working on my body. It truly awoke inside of me that this was a full body, multifaceted journey that I was going on. And throughout that process, it really has been a resurrection of many parts of myself and many stories and habits that have been woven into my subconscious. One of them, very strongly, was how I felt safe in a depleted state. I think because I've experienced my own journey through life of these impacts and stressful experiences that have left me at times feeling very exhausted, tired, undernourished, depleted. I somehow felt that this was my normal state and it was a normalized place to be. And I'd begun to get quite comfortable there. It's not that I liked it or even wanted it from a conscious mind, but my unconscious really began to feel like, oh, well, this is normal, it's usual, it's familiar, and therefore we're safe here in this depleted place. As I began to start really nourishing my body, of course, these stories and these echoes could no longer live as they was. And I began to metabolize a lot of beliefs and patterns and stories that had really been held in the cells of my body. It really was a deep time of moving through undigested memories, experiences, emotions that were living, in the tissues and cells. And they were manifesting as physical signs and symptoms. But as ever, when we move through these things, we definitely clear the pathway for more energy and more life and more presence to be with us. I like to call this part of the journey, clearing out the debris from the cells, all that has been unexpressed, undigested, unmetabolized, that has been stored or trapped within, the intricate web of our bodies, begins to get processed, metabolized, moved through, digested, assimilated, and excreted and released. And just like the physiological process of digestion itself, we must digest our way through the experiences we have. And sometimes those experiences in life can feel so undigestible in the moment they are happening because they're too big, too much, too fast, too overwhelming. And so we don't know what to do with them, or we don't have enough metabolic energy to process them because we're just about surviving. So we pocket them somewhere in our body. And then what we call that is things show up as symptoms. And I really do feel like it's our body whispering, speaking, or maybe screaming to us that something isn't okay. And we need to look a little bit deeper into ourselves to tend to these parts that are shrieking into us. But as I began to move through this, I really began to feel this sense of this like heavy fog or this void or dread that existed in my body begin to lift. I came to learn a lot about just how impactful life stresses and traumas can be. For me, in my own life, I experienced loss, grief, moving homes multiple times, lifestyle choices that were, maybe toxic for my endocrine system, dietary restrictions, as I very much was in a calorific deficit for many years of my life due to fasting and all of these different ideas that we take on within diet culture. Pregnancy loss, menstrual cycles, hormonal changes had all really depleted my mineral reserves and caused this dysregulation in my body. And that was then an even deeper kind of driver to support myself, to allow myself to heal from life's experiences. It wasn't just a journey, and it hasn't just been a journey of physical and physiological processes. It's very much, like I say, this multifaceted experience where embracing my nervous system, bringing in resourcing practices, the nutrient-dense food, focusing on balancing minerals, opening detox pathways, embodiment, slowing down my rhythm, balancing my circadian patterns, getting that beautiful sunlight on the face and the skin in the mornings, has all supported me to actually manage stress and support my adrenal health. And that was really something that I needed to do. And through that, I've been able to stabilize my histamine levels. And that was one of the main things that I really needed support with. I had really strong histamine intolerance to certain foods, particularly dairy, which I couldn't eat for over 12 years. Through balancing my minerals, I have been able to reintroduce that into my diet. I still do have to be tender, especially around times where I feel stressed, because that is my body's learnt pattern of reaction. But it is so much more gentle than it used to be. And as a result of this, I am experiencing a calmer body and mind, deeper sleep, more balanced hormones, and just this overall sense of groundedness in my body. I definitely feel like I'm here now in my body, living this life and the experiences I have. I no longer feel that disassociated kind of flying outside of myself experience or energy that I once did. I've really acknowledged that, recovering our energy and healing is a big journey to embrace. And whether we're ready or not, our body will normally call us into it. And then we choose at our own time when we're ready to step onto it. But when we do, we get to rejuvenate and release old patterns and burdens and restore balance in new ways. I like to call it a cellular awakening. So here I am with an invitation to you, my love. If you are on the path of seeking change, if you are sick of feeling tired and drained or disconnected and you know it's time for a change, I welcome you to join us in the Embodied Woman Group Mentorship. This is a life-changing journey, and it has been for the women that have just completed the first cohort of this experience. How their lives and bodies have shifted, how their minds have altered, how their nervous systems have come into deeper resource and regulation is really beyond words. But the experience can offer you calmer nervous system, better stress management, feeling more nourished, balanced hormones and cycles, more easeful bleeds without PMS, deeper sleep, feeling more rested, more energy, more resource, being able to be more present and focused in your life and all the things that you wish to do. So ultimately, you can experience the life that you desire to live. And whether that be to connect with your children, your friends, your community, your partner, relationships, family, your vision or your mission in your work, whatever your dreams and desires are, becoming more fully nourished, rooted, and resourced inside of yourself will guide you and support you to live out those dreams. So if you are ready to reconnect to your body and you want to take this journey, I welcome you to join us. All the details are in the show notes of this episode. There's a link to the Embodied Woman. There's also a link to book a connection call with me if you have any questions or you want to spend some time connecting and understanding if this is the space for you. So just scroll on down, click the link, and I welcome you to join us on the journey. Okay, my love, thank you for being here and for listening. And I'm just sending love, and I really hope you have a beautiful day. Thank you for joining me on this journey today. If you loved this episode, please share it far and wide with your sisterhood and community. You can dive deep into all of my offerings via rebecca-wilson.com. Links to all offerings are below in the show notes of this episode. If you would love to support the podcast, please like, subscribe, download, and share the episodes so my work and this message can reach more women around the world. Remember, my love, you are here to live a life fully, deeply inhabiting your body and your divine nature. I am here to show you how. Hey love, I'm just dropping in to share that the doors are open for the waitlist for the next round of Embodied Woman Group Mentorship. This is a journey like no other, a deep dive into embodiment, somatic awareness, self-honoring and healing practices, the journey of remineralization, awakening your feminine energy and restoring the resources within your heart, body, wombs, cells, and overall vitality. This is my signature program, which launches twice a year. There are limited spaces for the intake. If you're feeling the call, head on down to the show notes in this episode, click the link and join the waitlist where you will receive more information soon. Hope you enjoyed the episode of this podcast. Sending you so much love. Have a beautiful, vital, and nourishing day.